let's go through a couple of new books coming out in August 2024 that I'm incredibly excited to read. I have a few romances to share, as well as a thriller that might be my most anticipated book of the entire year. First up is a book by two authors that I discovered last year from their Emma retelling. It was called Emma of 83rd Street, and it was probably one of my favorite romances of the entire year. This year, we're getting their retelling of Pride and Prejudice. It's called Elizabeth of East Hampton, and it's by Audrey Bellezza and Emily Harding. I cannot wait to see their modern take on Pride and Prejudice. As you can tell from the title, this one is set in the Hamptons, and Elizabeth is helping to run her family's bakery. Now, she lives in the Hamptons year-round and gets pretty annoyed by the influx of vacationers that happen during the summer. When she meets Will Darcy, he pretty much embodies everything that she hates about these people. He's aloof, he's arrogant, and he's filthy rich. As we know from the classic story, these two do not hit it off, but something develops between them over time, so I am very excited to see how they're going to put a modern spin on this classic story. Next up is a book that's perfect for this time of year, for back to school, because it is a teacher romance set in the classroom. It's called Love Lessons by Sydney Houston, and this features two kindergarten teachers. Just a heads up, this has the surprise pregnancy trope, which I know is sometimes helpful to know ahead of time. I'm usually not necessarily a fan of this trope, but I did recently read Ready or Not by Cara Bastone and absolutely loved it, so I'm willing to give it another shot. And I think this teacher romance set in a school, two kindergarten teachers that have classrooms right next to each other but are forced together, sounds like it will be a good way to handle this and something I'm interested in reading. My third romance that I'm going to share with you is by one of my all-time favorite authors, and that is Jenny Colgan. Her new book that's coming out in August is Close Knit. It's actually a somewhat sequel to her book from last year, which was called Summer Skies. You don't necessarily have to read that one first, but you'll recognize some of the characters from that book. So in Close Knit, our main character is Gertie, who lives in this small Scottish town, and she's been raised by her mother and grandmother. So her whole life, she's just been kind of surrounded by women and stayed pretty close within her bubble. She loves to knit, which is a big theme throughout the story, and I think that's just an adorable aspect. But Gertie gets a chance to step outside of her comfort zone a little bit when she takes a job with the local airline. And of course, there's a little bit of romance, a little bit of found friendship, and rediscovering what her true passion is. It's got everything that you hope in a Jenny Colgan. I've actually already started reading it. I'm probably about halfway through and just loving it so far. So I highly recommend this one as well. That's Close Knit by Jenny Colgan. And the last one I'm going to share is the new thriller that I cannot wait to read, and this is Worst Case Scenario by T.J. Newman. This author was a former flight attendant, so her thrillers all take place in the world of airplanes. Often it involves an airplane crash or a terrorist attack happening on an airplane. In this one, we've got an airplane that crashes into a nuclear power plant. I have yet to find a thriller that keeps you on the edge of your seat as much as these do. Once you start reading, you literally will not be able to put them down. And the author's insider knowledge of, airline processes and procedures really brings a level of authenticity to the books. So it makes them feel incredibly realistic, which I think just adds to that heightened tension and wondering what's going to happen, because you can tell it's very well researched. So this one I'm waiting to start until I know that I can read it in the next 24 hours, because I know it's just going to grip me from the beginning and not let me go. Let me know in the comments which one you'd like to read first.